What's up, everybody? Welcome to Full of a Took. We are on Chapter 5, this 5th episode of the show, A Conspiracy Unmasked in the Fellowship of the Ring. This podcast is moving and grooving. We are already, 5 chapters in. There are things happening. I've got a lot of questions this week. I got a lot of thoughts, a lot of notes. Not as many as I've had in the past. I only got 26. And I'm hoping to get 10 of them to talk about. So anyway, what'd y'all think of this? Was it a good chapter?
I loved this chapter.
Yeah?
Blew my little mind.
I mean, I enjoyed it, but it also disappointed me, and to be continued. I will get on to that later on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I read the books. I completely forgot this happened. So It was a lot of fun to see how this actually goes.
There's been a couple of chapters that have been very talk heavy and like conversation and like lore. And this is just like, a bubble bath drink fest. And it was so fun. I was like, this is awesome. I am so happy that this chapter existed. This is a good chapter for it. There's a lot of new cool stuff.
Yeah, like the movies are a masterpiece, right? They are amazing. They're just some of the best movies made this century, which is painful for me to say.
I think you mean last century?
No, yes. They came out on VHS.
It's been a minute, buddy.
It's this century, I think.
Anyway, okay. I made myself sad, but the point is that the movies are amazing, but there is a lot of stuff they condense, they skip, they don't touch at all, and now you get to know.
Like the bubble baths.
Yes, like the hobbits take a bubble bath.
They're just kicking their feet.
Oh my God.
Bubble bathing along, drinking in the bathtub. Bunch of cuties.
They're having a great time.
I was so giddy when I was reading that. I was like, this is so fun.
So I'll do the recap this week. Chapter 4 was called A Shortcut to Mushrooms, and our protagonists wake up in Woodhall, the elf forested hall that they were left in. They decide to take a shortcut to BuckleBerry Ferry so that they can avoid the main roads and not run into the Black Riders anymore. So they end up at Farmer Maggot's property. Frodo has some history with this guy, but it all works out okay. They scared the hell out of him with some enormous dogs, but then they all end up having dinner together, and Farmer Maggot takes them in his wagon over to their final destination, and all is well, except for this time Merry scares the heck out of them by appearing to look like a Black Rider as he rides up in the mist. So seems to be a big theme with just scaring hobbits all the time.
Very well done.
You want to take this?
Yeah, sure. So we're all at BuckleBerry Ferry with Mary. And I can't say that without thinking about Mary Mac, the song. Do you know?
Miss Mary Mac, all dressed in black.
No, Mary Mac's mother's making Mary Mac marry me. My mother's making me marry Mary Mac. You don't know? We'll get there. Anyway, the point
I don't
is
know that one.
That'll be for later. I wasn't kidding. They went to BuckleBerry Ferry and found Mary. And they are able to get across the Brandywine River without incident. Like, they've made it. They're free and clear, and this is great. So they're that much closer to their destination. And they're on the other side of the river, and they've got the raft over there, because the ferry is basically just a raft that services back and forth across the river. And, everyone else is kind of clapping each other in the backs and having a good time about it. And Sam is reflecting that he's never been across the river. And as a point of fact, he's the only one who hasn't been across the river. So he's never been further from home in his life. So he's looking back at kind of the mists and the darkness, and he's reflecting that, like, that is my home. That's where I come from. I have a dark journey ahead of me. That is my fate. And he feels bad for Mr. Frodo just not having a quiet life. That's Sam's thought. And then a shadow starts moving on the far side of the bank, and this dark thing is sniffing around on the ground, and they all have this, like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck moment. And even Mary is like, what the actual fuck is that? And they're like, oh, that's just the thing that's been following us. It's not a big, we should run. We really need to go. And so they do, because they're in Buckland, right? They've made it across the river. So they're out of the Shire proper. They're in Buckland, where Frodo has bought his new house. And Merry takes the bag of hot food and is like, I'm going to go ahead and make sure dinner's ready for you guys. And Frodo's like, well, hold on. We had an early dinner with Farmer Maggot. Wait, no, we're actually absolutely going to have second supper, so please do. So they're in Buckland, right? They're out of the Shire proper. They're over the river, and they hurry. They still have miles to go. And one of the last comments is like, Merry is like, what was that? And they're like, again, trying to downplay it. And they're just like, don't worry about it. But hey, where can a horse get across the river? 20 miles north of here. 20, 40. Okay, so we're all right. So we'll take our time, go make dinner. Because they're clearly worried that this thing is going to follow them. And to his credit, Merry just kind of like shrugs okays and off he goes. And eventually they come to Crick Hollow, Frodo's new home. And it's this like, it's got huge hedges. It's this out of the way house. He chose it specifically because you can get in and out without being seen by people. It's on a side road. It's dark. They walk up, and then the door gets thrown open, and there's Merry, and there's light, and there's happiness, and they are just so thankful. So they walk on in, and they get dinner. And Frodo is like looking around, and all his stuff is there, and he's having flashbacks to his home in Bag End, his actual home. And he feels like, oh, this is almost like home. It feels comfortable and familiar, and that just reminds him even more that he's got to go. He has to leave. Like immediately. And he resolves to tell his friends he's leaving. And for once, one time in this book, they resolve to have an uncomfortable conversation before bed. They do not wait until morning. Frodo's like, we're just going to have to talk about this. And so he comes to this decision, and Merry is like, hey, Frodo, don't worry. Guess what, guys? I ran you all a hot bath. And
So kind of him.
right. Yeah. And so Frodo is immediately, what was the line? It was, we have to determine who's going first. Is it by oldest or by who's going to finish first? And that implies one bath, which I do not like. But Merry's like, no, Frodo, we do not have to choose. There are 3 baths.
He also says, by the way, if we're going, whatever order we're going in, Pippin goes last.
Yes.
He gets the dirty water.
He's neither the eldest or the fastest.
Yeah, he
It's
says that.
hysterical. Yeah.
He goes, Master Peregrine, you will be last. And I thought it was so great.
So they end up taking this like amazing bath, and they reflect on how nice bath time is. They sing a little bath song.
A big bath song.
It's a big bath song. And Pippin, again, showing his age, splashes water everywhere and creates an absolute god-awful mess. It's time for dinner, though. So like they're all happy. They all come out. They've a hot bath coming off the road. All the terror is outside. Mary's like, so what's up? Farmer Maggot seemed a little perturbed, and that man is an immovable rock. So like, what happened? Also, what was that fucking thing? And Pippin's like, I'll tell you everything. And Merry kind of looks at Frodo, and Frodo is like,
Frodo's like, I'll tell you nothing.
staring into the middle distance with a 1,000-yard stare. And so Pippin goes and he tells the whole story. And then Merry's like, I would not have believed that had I not seen whatever that nightmare was across the river. Also, it's not fair that you guys are having adventures without me. I'm personally offended by that, which I can identify with. And so they all kind of look at Frodo again, and Frodo is saying nothing. And like Fredgar Fatty, who's been like housekeeping for everybody, he put dinner together and everything, and he's just doing his thing. And like Merry and Pippin have a moment, and I'm like, just let's give Frodo a second. And Frodo's like, he's very upset. He's trying to figure out how to tell his friends, like, he's got to go. Like, they don't understand the gravity of what's going on. They know there's scary things out there, but they do not know. And he says, I don't know how to start. And Mary's like, how about I tell you what I know, and then we'll take it from there. Well, what does that mean? And basically, Frodo is not half as clever as he thinks he is, because his best friends have known since about mid-April that something extremely wrong is going on, between the long walks, the waxing poetic about, oh, the hills of the Shire, shall I ever look upon you again stuff, and then just Gandalf being in and out for years. Frodo is aghast, right? He has no words. And he's like, but I have to go. Like, I don't know how you work that out, but I have to go. And they're like, we know. And because we're your friends, we are also going. He's like, you don't understand. And again, Mary is like, maybe I'll tell you what I know, and then you can tell me if I understand wrong or not about this magic ring of Bilbo's. And Frodo's eyes just like fucking cross. Because it turns out Mary and Sam and Pippin and Fredger have been in this conspiracy because they've decided that something is wrong and it's causing Frodo great pain, and it's clearly very dangerous to their friend, and they're going to do something about it. Mary became aware that something like was happening and something strange had happened when he happened to come across Bilbo taking a walk one day, and Bilbo didn't know he was there. He was coming up the road the same way. And the Sackville Bagginses were coming the opposite way, and Bilbo reaches into his pocket and just disappears. Just fucking disappears. And Mary steps off to the side of the road, and he just like, he looks, and he's the Sackville Bagginses walk by, and then Bilbo just reappears to the road and continues with his walk. So he used the ring to avoid the Sackville Bagginses, just like casually, just like, I'm not doing this today.
Yep.
And just like, whoop, and off he goes. Like no hard, not making eye contact, no awkward ignoring and pretending you don't see. They just literally turned invisible. And Mary's like, well, what the actual fuck was that? And so he keeps snooping harder, and he finds Bilbo's like secret memoirs and books and has himself a flip through what he calls, quote, the secret book. And Frodo is like still processing that his friends have unraveled his entire life while he wasn't paying attention. And before the heat gets to Mary is like, but really our chief spy is most responsible for all of this. And Frodo's like looking around, he's like, what? Who? Where? Like, what is
spy?
Chief spy? What is going to jump out of the closet at me? And then Sam is just like, hi, it was Sam all along. I was listening under the window. And so apparently that was how they got like 90% of their information, was just Sam eavesdropping and tattling. And so I think Frodo feels like justifiably upset by all this, but also extremely relieved to have such good friends. And then Mary hits him with another silver lining. It's like, by the way, because we had time to plan for this while you were sulking and figuring out your whole life and the meaning of life and all the goddamn rest of it, we just got 6 ponies and loaded them up with stuff. So we're ready to go like whenever you want. And so Frodo laughs and he's like, all right, well, we're leaving in the morning then. But we're not taking the road because that's an easy. We will as surely be caught taking the road east as if we just stay here. Which is an odd comment because Fredger's part of the plan is to stay behind. Fatty Bulger, his whole contribution is going to be, he doesn't want to leave the Shire. He is not about it. He's going to hang out back, and he's going to wear some of Frodo's clothes and pretend to be Frodo on occasion, is the implication. And so he's going to sit there like an asshole, but also like bait, while the Black Riders look for him. Maybe that wasn't a part of the original plan, and I'm not sure he would have agreed to it had he understood the full terms of service, but that's where they are.
And now he's like heard how dangerous of a plan it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he fully understands.
He doesn't. And also, he thinks he's the one that's just going to be the hero and tells Gandalf, if he ever deigns to show up,
That's
where
true.
they are.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
the whole purpose of him staying behind was in case Gandalf shows up, so he can tell them where they went.
And he's cool with it because he's like, well, where are you going to go? What road are you going to take if you're not going to take the East Road? And Frodo's like, well, we're going to go straight into the Old Forest. Capital O, capital F. And that has meaning.
Right into the OnlyFans.
Right into it. Only Sam's.
Only sense.
I would not go to that site. I would not. And,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. I mean, I'm not going to give you the cut. We're keeping it. So straight into the Old Forest. And Fredger's like, y'all are fucking nuts. And Mary's like, no, don't worry. We're going to go during the daylight when the trees are sleepy and mostly quiet. And that's the plan. And then they're going to leave in the morning. And Frodo goes to bed and his legs hurt. And he's so unbelievably happy that, one, He's got such good friends, and they are coming with him. Like, everyone's been telling him to bring good friends. Now he knows for certain he's got 3 of them coming with him and 1 staying behind. But also, Jesus Christ, he gets to ride a pony. He doesn't have to walk anymore. And then he falls asleep, and he has this insane dream about a tower and the sound of the sea. And then he wakes up to thunder in the dark. And that's how the chapter ends.
Bravo, my friend.
Tolkien makes it easy.
That is such a fun ending of a chapter.
I thought the whole chapter was really fun.
It is. It is a fun chapter, but some of the other chapters have ended not on like dark, mystical moods.
True.
You know? Like when they're with the elves in chapter 3,
Yeah, that one's very wholesome.
they're just like, I'm just settling into my little hammock.
Yeah, the closest would be
And then they're out. This is more like he has this wild dream, and then it's like, and he wakes up, and then it's like cuts to black, you know, and it's like, oh, I can like, I was saying this before, but it's a very visual chapter, and even the visuals of his dream, you know, when you're reading this, like you're just like watching this play out in your head, and at least I am in my imagination, and it was so fun, so fun.
I've loved so far how Tolkien's chapter endings are, because you get like this very like, to your point, it's all visual, right? Are these not like perfect scene cuts?
Yeah.
Like
great.
a ton of like fade to black
It's
stuff,
written
a ton of
like
cut
a
over.
movie scene.
That's exactly
Yeah.
it. You know,
Yeah.
maybe Peter Jackson's not the genius we thought he was.
Ding.
No, I agree. This is a very enjoyable chapter, and I really loved it. However, I was also not 100% remembering this chapter, and so with the title, I was hoping we'd get some Gandalf action or information, and they even talked about him, and it just whetted my appetite for what is he up to, where is he, when is he coming back, and so I was a little like frustrated. And I'm not the most patient person, and so
No.
I know. And so I am just even more impatient now to have Gandalf get the fuck back here.
Speaking of impatience, everybody knows we're reading and listening at the same time. And I still find myself going, you're reading it too slow, buddy. And I start going a couple sentences ahead. And then I catch myself and I go, stop. And I look up and I wait for him to get there. And I go, okay, we'll go back.
You don't just turn it up to like 1.5 speed.
No, I can't.
Who does that?
The highest
I
for
do
me
that.
is
That's
Monsters do that.
1.25.
That's for psychopaths,
I
Laura.
read really fast, all right?
But it sounds like an alien language. Like I like to hear the emotion because if I'm
Yeah.
not
What
going
was
to read it,
thing. They went, it sounds like an old
Old-timey
like an
news.
auctioneer.
oh god,
It's
yeah.
like someone who's like, come on first, first. Okay, it's boat. We'll go to you. It's
Fatty Bulgar.
Yeah,
for
Fatty
four.
Bulgar. They jumped in the bath naked. Oh my god.
Look, Chris,
So I don't know. It just felt a little weird to me. No, anyway. Anyway, I did want to bring up something when you were talking about the conspiracy unmasked. Right before we read this, because we read the chapters together, she said to me, "What do you think this chapter's about? A conspiracy unmasked. What's the conspiracy that's being unmasked?" And I was like 100% confident in my decision and my answer.
What was it?
I was like, it's clearly we're now going to cut to Gandalf, and he's with Saruman, and he's confronting him and being like, "That's like, I know the scene. I've seen the movie. This is a conspiracy." He's going to be like, "Saruman, we have something of concern," and Saruman's going to be like, "Sauron is the way." And that's the conspiracy. What I did not expect was a very merry, pun intended, bubble bath and little
my God.
fireside chat. It was so fun.
Mary was the only one not in the bubble bath.
And he missed
True.
out.
Yeah, I guess so.
Dude, he missed the fuck out.
Yeah.
But honestly, a couple things I wanted to bring up from this. What is a bollard?
A bollard,
Bollard.
Bollard.
Yeah, they
It's
were
like
talking about bollards.
Right. So a bollard is a post that acts as like a guide or a protection. So you know those yellow things that come up at Wawa?
Yes. Like, so you don't accidentally drive through the parking spot into
Yeah,
the
yeah. It's
building.
like it's a protective steel
That's a
post driven into the
bollard?
ground. It's a bollard.
Bollard. Okay.
We actually had to install one of those at work because a guy backed a forklift into a control panel for an ammonia system.
Oh, gosh. I want to talk about Brandy Hall because Brandy Hall was awesome. That whole little talk about it. But in order for us to talk about Brandy Hall, I feel like we need to talk about what it's named after.
So yes, and it actually coincides with our only new character this chapter, Gorindad Brandybuck, formerly Old Buck, formerly Laura. No, just teasing.
I have his whole name underlined, and it's just
Because
Gorindad
he
Old Buck.
originally was Old Buck, but
True.
he changed it to Brandybuck. The first master of Buckland and the founder of the Brandybuck family.
There it is. So
I found this part really interesting.
right. So do we want to talk a little bit about what Buckland is?
Yeah, it's a really weird history.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
So Gorindad Old Buck, who eventually changed his name to Brandybuck, basically settled down and started his own country. It was like separate from the Shire, but obviously they were
Just a
still
heads up, I
hobbits.
think that's how all of them are.
What?
Countries.
Countries? You mean the different parts of the Shire?
No, just in general, people just start new countries.
I mean, but like one
my
person by
God.
himself?
Well, Chris. All right. So one
I
day,
think that's how that works, right?
I guess. I don't
one
know.
day we are going to get drunk enough to talk about state formation.
Oh no, there go my notes.
You're going to
I'm
hate
thinking about the genetics of one guy starting his own country.
No, Laura. No, it's not like that. It's
Like, I
I
don't
mean,
love
I
that.
think it is. I think it's exactly
Everybody
like that.
that's from that area calls each other cousin.
because they're cousins. Okay.
They literally are.
Yeah. So
They're all
Buckland.
related.
Well, not literally all of
It's
them.
like the Smurfs, okay?
That's not better.
It's worse.
There's one Papa Smurf,
And it's
and he's everybody's Papa.
Papa Gorindad.
No.
Literally has daddy in his
No.
title.
He's everybody's Papa,
No.
but the one Smurf is like that girl Smurf.
I hate this.
I don't enjoy any of the. So Buckland, he moved out beyond the bounds of the normal Shire. So everyone in the Shire regards the Shire proper as having ended at the river, but this weirdo's on the other side, basically setting up his own like little country, and he's really important and he's really influential. And all these people move there, and he ends up with like a huge family, and he builds this huge place. Was it Brandywine Hall?
Brandy Hall.
Brandy Hall,
Brandy Hall.
right? Brandy Hall. And it's this enormous, expansive home. And the town
It's like a
pops up.
hotel almost. It's like
Kinda.
they said there's like huge rows of doors and windows.
3
to it.
front doors.
Yeah, like
100
ginormous.
windows.
Yeah.
So it's like row homes, and then when they ran out of space to build up, they had to build under.
Well, no, it's hobbits, so they started under.
That's not what it says.
Okay.
That's not what it says.
You want to bet who has to drive home?
This is probably a question specifically for Pat, but what is the difference between a hobbit hole and a house?
One of them is underground.
A house can't be underground? Welcome to New York City. Half of it's underground.
Okay, so
But it's different.
So a
Why?
hobbit hole is a structure that they specifically tend to build underground. That is their preferred mode. Crick Hollow is a great example of a hobbit style home.
House, right?
No.
No?
Well, it's a home, but it's also a house, right? The difference in a house and a home. A house is kind of a structure type. A home is a place where your heart lives. So it's built like a hobbit would want a hole built. So it's like basically a rancher with a turf roof. It's got round windows and a big round door. It's the hobbit's idea of pulling a hobbit hole out of the ground and building it out of brick on top. They prefer to be underground first. Like that's the...
Do they not like sunlight and stuff like that?
They're strange.
Are they kind of
They do, but they're so small. I feel like it's just a defense mechanism
like
when they're
moles or
sleeping.
something?
Like moles, yeah. It does specifically
Or like
say,
rabbits. I just see them as rabbits,
Rabbits.
especially after Farmer Maggot and the
Yeah.
Tolkien specifically hated the hobbits are compared to maggots. I looked that up.
To
I didn't
maggots?
say
Rabbits.
maggots. I said rabbits.
Did I say maggots?
You did.
did.
Tolkien hated that hobbits were considered or compared to rabbits.
Well, then
you
maybe he
making
shouldn't
this
have
up?
described
No, I'm
them
not
like
making
that.
that
Okay, so
I'm not making it up.
Hang on, though.
what?
Important point of contention. His family grew and grew until Brandy Hall occupied the whole of the low hill and had lots of front doors and side doors and 100 windows. Then they began to burrow and later to build all about. So they built on top first.
No. Later they began to build and burrow all about.
See how he just repeated the line and that's like the answer?
I'm sorry.
I understood it though.
I'm sorry that I received just enough legal training to dispute where sentences end and begin with commas.
I'm sorry.
He
I'm
said,
just
no, and then
reading it
repeated
as
back
it's
the word,
written.
the first sentence. You see how that makes sense now?
I
that
understood what you
said it?
meant.
I don't know what to do with these two.
We might be fools over here, but I think that we are reading the
But we
text
can read.
at face value.
Well, speaking of fools, I do have to say an apology. I actually misspoke last episode.
You did.
Mary
Illegal.
was not riding a horse. He was very clearly riding a pony. He said that last chapter very clearly and in this one. And so I stand corrected. He did not rob a poor person in the bar of their
Do you have something to say?
of their
Is that what
horse.
this is? Raising a hand? Like class?
Oh, let her finish.
Oh, okay.
Because that's why I'm raising my hand instead of talking.
Oh, okay.
I guess I just wanted to imagine Mary seeing a human get drunk, like a full grown man, and he was like,
So you just assumed he stole it?
I just assumed he stole the horse. He was
Why
gonna
wouldn't you?
ride in,
But
pretending
she
to
said it with such confidence that I was like, I guess it makes sense.
That's racist.
You also believed it. You were like,
did.
yeah, I guess so.
That he would just steal a horse just to steal it?
But not like that, he was like
The powers of an
searching for them.
actress.
He
Who
was.
is he?
I do speak with confidence. I can convince people things that are not correct.
That is true.
No, but I just saw it as he was so concerned for his friends. He's like, I got to go search for them. They might be in trouble. I just immediately, my mind created, he stole a horse, so he came off as a large person versus a little hobbit in case they were in a sticky situation. And I created this whole thing, especially with they thought he was a black rider. It's now even more hysterical that they were so scared out of their wits that he actually is riding a little pony wearing a scarf. It says he removes the scarf. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, what black rider would have a scarf?
Yeah.
And a
Why
pony.
was I thinking this?
Well, it was really the clip clops in the night.
But they said clop clops.
I know. I'm so mad about that because we made such a big deal
No,
about
because
it.
first they say clip clop, then they say clop
Clop
clop.
clops. What the fuck?
On the same paragraph.
You're the horse expert.
I couldn't tell
What's the
you.
difference between a clip clop and a clop clop?
We said
Nothing.
pony versus horse last week, but I guess we were just making it up.
There's no difference.
Between a clip clop and a.
clop clop.
A clop clop is probably
one
a
has
lame
an
horse.
I, one has an O.
Thank you, Chris. What's the technical
Clearly
difference
a
between
difference.
a pony and a horse?
Size.
Right,
So
but
a
that.
pony
Would the
is
sounds be different?
14.2 hands or smaller, and a horse is taller than that.
So with the clip
What's
clop,
the difference between fucking Mountain Dew and coffee? The color? No, it's not. It's not the obvious thing. There's clearly a difference.
So hold on. Human hands?
A donkey looks nothing like a horse.
Hobbit
Probably
hands?
At one point, it was human hands, but a hand is 4 inches.
oh wow.
But like,
What do you mean?
Horses are measured in hands. That's
What are you
just the
talking
unit
about?
of measurement.
Yes.
By
And
height.
one hand equals 4 inches.
Let's live in reality.
That's how it is.
You can't just be like, yeah, about 84 hands high.
No, we have these special measuring
God, that's a
tools that
big
you
horse.
just put up to the horse's withers, where his neck meets his back, and it tells you how many hands high the horse is.
I am 17 and a half hands.
Nice.
Are you?
I'm not sure you are.
What are you talking about?
I don't quite recall.
How many hands am I? Is the question I have.
No, I'm not doing this.
Moving right along.
We've talked about water a lot on this podcast when they're sort of going through the history of Brandy Hall and Old Buck. They specifically mention a line, some of them could swim,
And they like to, yeah, right?
which was interesting.
Fond of boats.
It's one of the
Yeah.
things that
Like
makes them
water.
weird.
So it's like they're truly like aliens to people of the Shire who were like anti-water, right?
like Hobbit, not Hobbit.
Did I read that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
read
like,
that right.
Yeah, because like they're not even inside the farthings.
Well, good for me. No, I'm just kidding.
Look, I'm proud of you, bud. No, really though. Like it's the like Brandy Buck Hall and all of them are they are a place apart in the Shire. And it's not a bad thing, but Doesn't it kind of like draw a line on how small and weird and ordered a hobbit's life is?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they are talking about like literally like an apocalypse in the east and like the end of all goodness and like, but they still have time to like remark on how weird it is that their neighbors like boats.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says they're not very different from the other hobbits, except that they like water.
Yeah.
Weird.
And also, I thought it was pretty wild that they have what's called in the book the high hay, which high and hay are both capitalized. So that's a pronoun, right?
Yes.
When it's capitalized like that. So,
Proper noun.
excuse me, proper noun.
noun.
So it's a proper noun. I was going to say that.
Definitely.
You can't shake your head when you do that.
But what I thought was interesting was that the high hay is 20 miles long.
What is the high hay?
The high hay is a protective hedge, acting like a wall to Brandy Buck, I guess, whatever that
the old
town.
forest.
Buckland, whatever the town
Yeah,
is.
it's the
Oh,
border,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because the rest of the Shire is protected by the river.
Yeah.
So Buckland was like, you know what we're going to do is plant
Buckland,
Buckland
built a wall out of
of
hay and hedges, and it's 20 miles long. That's insane.
and it's tall enough and thick enough that has gates put in it and guards, and they feel like that keeps them safe.
I
Well,
mean,
no, they
it's
don't.
pretty cool. It's pretty safe.
No, they
right?
don't because they sleep with their doors locked at night.
Oh, you're
unlike
right.
other hobbits in the Shire. So like they know, like they are scared of the old forest.
In a
It's a
movie,
scary place.
Yeah.
it's like we're slowly zooming in on somebody being like, and we lock our doors because we don't trust the outsiders. And then it hard cuts to the Shire as they wheelbarrow people through the night who are pissed drunk and dump them down the hill.
You'll be fine.
I'll see you tomorrow. It was such a great juxtaposition there in the
No,
writing.
I love that though because it like it highlights not only how scary the old forest is, but also like that they are on the very edge of the Shire.
Yeah.
You know,
Speaking of scary, jumping right into creepy freaking waterfront black figure, scaring Mary. I thought that was a
Yes.
really cool scene.
Scaring Mary at BuckleBerry Ferry.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Oh no!
Jesus Christ.
Oh Jesus Christ! What is it? But it's funny because like Sam was like having this whole like
That bag
inner
is ominous.
monologue with his inside. He's like, "Oh, I just think that I should," and he like sees it across the water.
Oh, you got him good.
You broke Pat.
Got him.
Pat doesn't like water either. He's choking.
I can't breathe.
He's drowning.
And Mary was like, "This is Harry."
No. Please no.
This is a hairy situation. Let's get out of here.
And they turned and he said, "Terry, is that you?
Barry,
Are you okay?
where's
Over there?"
Larry?
You broke Pat.
Anyway,
You guys are bad.
I just wanted to talk real fast about sort of setting up of it's a very necessary scene because this is the moment when Mary sees this dark figure. And the funny thing is Mary doesn't have the reaction that I think he's going to have when he sees it. And that's because we are not aware at this time when we're reading that Mary is already devising a whole plan and already like, we're coming with you. We're going to do this. It's going to be great. We're going to join you on this very dangerous journey we know you're going on. And I, at this point, like I'm almost in my head thinking like, oh, well, Frodo's probably like, how do I even like begin to explain this stuff? Which then makes sense when he's at the fire and Mary's like, so you ready to tell me what's going on? And he doesn't respond at all. So
Yeah.
it is a bit of like a slinky going down the steps where like I'm waiting for something to happen, but if you follow the path that it's going, it all makes so much sense. By the time you finish the chapter, you're like, everything had to play out that way. It's the only way it could have. You know?
It was really interesting because, as I said before, I read these chapters twice. So the second time through was a little more interesting. And even I was thinking about stuff I said in the last episode and the one before where we're like, oh, Sam has all these misgivings. But Pippin, he doesn't know anything. He's just along for the ride, having a good time. I'm like, oh, no, he knew the whole time.
Yeah. So I thought that was
he was
so fun and interesting.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, okay, well, is he just like an educated asshole, or is he like playing the part
very good
overly,
actor.
or like, you know what I mean? Like, is he smarter than I'm giving him credit for?
I think he was compensating for knowing everything and he wasn't supposed to, so he was playing it a little thick. You know?
Yeah.
And I also think, you know, Sam is probably in his head constantly terrified that he's going to let it slip that he knows. He's so loyal, he's so trustworthy, he's so steadfast that maybe Pippin was making up for, he would see a look on Sam's face, just start going off on something like, we need to take a break now.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to sit here and eat. Stat.
I feel like Pippin's just an asshole.
Also that.
too.
But like, part of it is they kind of knew the shape of what was going on, but not really. And the whole time they're like, "Yeah, Frodo, what's next? What are we doing now, buddy?"
Because Pippin saw the other night the Black Riders following them.
Yeah.
You know, so he should like be as caught up as Frodo is.
Kind of, but like he doesn't know the background necessarily, right? They have the shape of it. They know the ring is involved. They know there's an enemy in the east.
But didn't Sam tell them?
Yeah.
Everything?
Well, what he knew. Like, I feel like when Mary recounted what he knew, that was kind of the extent of it. So, like, they didn't have 100% knowledge. They didn't have a clear idea of what was going to happen. But remember, like, their biggest concern is, like, their number one issue is, like, Frodo's got a ring that makes him disappear. If he wants to fuck off and go, he's going to do it. We got to watch him.
Yeah.
And Mary's also
gotta
sort of the
watch him.
alpha of all those little hobbits.
He does seem that
excluding Frodo. And even with Frodo sometimes. And so I feel like he got the full story from Sam, what Sam knew, but maybe Pippin didn't get the full story from
Pippin
Mary.
wasn't listening.
And he also probably wasn't listening. I was actually going to say that 100%. Yeah. But Mary retained it
that
all,
tracks.
took it and was like, okay, I'm going to devise a plan. I can still get on top of this. A true type A.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have been fucking Mary.
Well,
No, wait, hang on. I would have been Mary.
whoa.
Pippin. Mary or Pippin?
I
Mary.
guess you're Mary.
I actually identify as Mary.
This is actually
that was brilliant,
a
Laura.
good opportunity, though, to talk about something that I know you want to talk about, and I know I want to talk about it, which is let's talk about this house that Frodo has purchased that they are moving into.
Crick Hollow.
Crick Hollow, that's what it's called, right?
The first thing that came to my mind was, okay, Frodo chose this house because of these features. And I'm thinking to myself, how many available houses are there in Brandywine?
Buckland.
Buckland, thank you. I can't remember that.
Brandywine's a river.
What is the real estate market like in Buckland that he has so many houses?
Well, it was a
to
dump,
choose
right?
from?
No, it wasn't a
Was
dump.
it?
No, it wasn't a
No,
dump.
it's
It
not
was
a dump.
guest house originally. So, like, he probably just put in a cash offer on somebody's summer house.
Okay.
And
So
everybody, and the thing to remember is like Frodo's a known quantity in Buckland. Like he grew
He's
up
from
there.
there.
That's like, you remember chapters back, people are like, yeah, it was so nice of Bilbo to rescue Frodo from like the orphanage that is Buckland. And so when he came back, even Maggot was like, yeah, it's great that you're going back. You should be over there. And Mary is thrilled that he's coming back to Buckland. Because it reinforces this sense of like separate identity, like not like I feel like a lot of the way the hobbits express their identity in the Shire is in opposition to things. It's like we're hobbits, but we're not from the North Farthing, or we're not from the West, or not right east, or sure
They're still very territorial.
Buckland. Right, they are, but they define themselves in opposition to things. Whereas you get to Buckland and they're all like, yeah, fuck yeah, we're from Buckland. That's where we're at. And
Reminds me-
Philly.
I was just
Yes.
gonna say, this reminds me of
Yes.
something I know. It reminds me of Pennsylvania a lot, and people being like, "I'm from Philly."
rockin' Philly, no one likes us, we don't care.
And like people in the suburbs are like, I don't know, Philly kind of sucks, man. Like,
Well, they get their cars keyed.
yeah. But then again, when I go to Philly, I'm like, yeah, this is cool.
I don't know. I was just wondering, like, are there real estate agents in the Shire? Like, how did this whole thing go?
We're for Buckland, fucking Buckland. No one likes us. We don't care.
That's very true.
Oh, that's perfect.
I just kept picturing in
That
my
is.
head Merry, Pippin, Samwise, and Frodo on the ferry, and on horses and making their way to Crick Hollow. But at Crick Hollow is Fatty
Yeah.
in a pitch black house.
No.
They say the lights are on.
No, all
No,
the
they don't.
shutters.
Those
No, no, no,
bracelets
no.
do.
They make a point of saying that there's no light coming out, but all the shutters are closed and doors closed, and then the door opens and it's all warm light.
So it has
And then
to.
they're like, close it quickly. I don't want anyone to know we're here.
he's like in this house.
A friendly
doesn't
light
know.
streamed out.
He does not know how long it's going to take them to come. He can't let anyone know he's in there. And he's just risky business and his life in there. He's just enjoying it by himself. You know, think about that, how long he's been in there.
Well, it's only been a day or two since they got the last load of shit. They've just been making house.
Think about what you just said. If you and I are hanging out and you're like, I'm going to go home and get ready for you to come over.
Yeah.
And I go, great, I'll see you there shortly.
Yeah.
And 2 days goes by.
Do I have to go to work?
Like, no, you're
Then
just
it's great. It's called a weekend.
You're just sitting there waiting. At any moment, they're going to come in this door and walk in, and it's going to be great. And I just was thinking about that the whole time. He must have been sitting there going, like,
Where's Mary?
yeah, like after like 6 hours, like, guys. And then it's a day and a half later, and he's like, I didn't bring any food with me.
No, he had the mushrooms dropped off from Mary.
No, really.
Mary? No, he
like,
didn't.
No, like Mary leaves. And
When Mary arrives is when he arrives with the food.
Mary
Ahead of them.
leaves. Mary leaves and is like, I got to go find these guys. I'm going to check the golden perch. And he disappears and he comes
And
back
he got that good beer.
in the middle
Good.
of the night and is like, they're here. And Fredger's like, awesome, the baths are ready. To me, that's the most important part of this is like, how long has that bathwater been hot?
That's what I'm saying.
Like days?
He's just like I feel like they arrive on a Thursday night, but by Tuesday at 10 p.m., the baths were warm.
Oh, God.
He was waiting. The fire was lit. He was waiting for them to show up.
Well, he knew that they were sent ahead early to like warm up the house. They put all of
Literally.
his stuff in the right place where it should have
Yeah.
been from bag end. So like they had some stuff to do, and they knew it would be sometime. They didn't think they were right behind them. They knew they were the advance party.
Speaking about Fredger, about Fatty, I just want to say real quick, at the moment we're at, his part in the plan is to stay behind and make it seem like Frodo's still home.
Yeah.
And he's the only one who hasn't seen a Black Rider yet. He literally doesn't know what's going to happen to him. And Frodo says, surely the only thing worse than staying here will be taking the road east. So, like, do they not have a conversation with Fatty about, like, buddy? There's things coming.
You got to get out of here.
I also think he's so like closed-minded. He doesn't want to hear it. They start telling him, he goes, nah, I'm never leaving. I don't care what you say.
Well, yeah, he's not leaving. He is never leaving Crick Hollow.
That was
And
very
they,
ominous.
They say that
Wait,
they're
I
leaving.
need to look up something. Hang on.
What do you
one
need to
second.
look up?
Oh God.
Hang on a second.
What are you looking up?
As you're talking about Fatty and his plan to just pretend to be Frodo, what immediately popped into my head were the behind-the-scenes photos from The Lord of the Rings,
Oh no.
where there's just somebody pretending to be Frodo.
You have to do a zoom in or something.
Like it's his.
I'm going to put it on the screen, but it's just somebody pretending to be Frodo. And this is what it popped in my head.
Small.
just standing there next to him. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say real fast. It's just
Did you?
I loved his plan, but then he would have immediately been found out.
He's
and
gonna
slaughtered.
be. Yeah, he's gonna be dead.
Well,
gonna be
speaking of
slaughtered.
slaughtering, did anyone else notice, like near like the last page of the chapter, that like Tolkien's the narrator? He like slips in the middle of a story and says, "They little thought how dangerous that might yet prove," and it's crazy because that's just so foreboding and just so ominous. And I was like, "Oh my God, he's dying!" Like
Is that the first
Yeah.
time that he did that?
Besides the
that
fox.
was a dangerous
Yeah, since the
decision.
fox.
Since the fox, the
Yeah.
first time, but he just even tried to do a weird character at this point. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm just coming in and I'm just gonna sprinkle this intrigue."
That's actually interesting. I didn't think about
It's
that.
the first time we have a narrator that isn't a character that's been identified.
And what's the line before it?
He had even brought some old clothes of Frodo's to help him in playing the part. Speaking of Fatty staying behind,
He's gonna pretend
and
to be
then
Frodo.
Right.
it says, "They little thought how dangerous that part might prove."
he's gonna be killed.
Yeah.
I was thinking when they said that they would like leave the clothes in Frodo's closet
No, he's wearing them.
or something and be like, oh
There
yeah,
is a
he's here.
full-on
Look, his
Mrs.
clothes are
Doubtfire
here.
situation
Yes.
going
Oh
on
my
here.
god!
100%. And then he's going to be like, Baggins.
And all the
Fatty's
sniffing.
going to go, hello.
And then he's gonna be ripped in twain.
No, but all the sniffing. Oh, it's just so bad.
Help us on the Wii.
That's
Yeah.
Let's be
bad.
real. 30 pages from now, he's dead.
So one of the things that made me laugh so much was bath time. I couldn't believe that all these. I mean, no, I can believe that after 3 days on the road, they're filthy, they're sweaty, they're disgusting, they need to bathe. But they approach this bath time like toddlers. I don't think I've ever seen anybody so excited about bath time.
You haven't been to a Russian
Except
bathhouse
for
with a
maybe
bunch of men before then.
Pat.
I've
Pat
also
is
not been to a Russian bathhouse.
the person I know who likes
Are there
baths
even
more
Russian
than anybody
bathhouses?
else.
Yes. I love baths, and to me, heaven is.
You're a bath guy?
Oh my god, dude! At home,
much.
growing up, my childhood home had an iron cast claw foot bathtub
My first apartment
with a
did.
slope back. I lived in that fucking thing. I was like fucking Robespierre. Like I was waiting to be murdered in that bath. To me, heaven is a hot bath and a book. And it was funny because when I read this chapter, I got to the bath part. I was literally sitting in a bath. I mean
He
that because I had
sure
a
was.
shit day at work,
Can
and I was
confirm.
like 2 hours before we came here. I was
You
like,
read this in a bath?
yes,
did.
yeah. The pages are a little scuffed.
We have a terrible bathtub.
Hold on.
But yeah.
Hold on. How many baths per year are you taking?
Oh my
Well,
god!
hold on, a better question is like per week.
Uncountable.
Per week?
Like in the right.
I've taken 4 baths since I graduated high school. I can tell you everything about it every time I did it.
I
Please don't.
take less than 1 bath a day.
Do you not shower? Do you just bath? Do you
No,
get up and
I
get a bath?
No,
and
no,
just
no, no,
lay in
no,
the
no, no,
bath?
no. A shower is for cleaning yourself. A bath is for enjoying the fruits of civilization.
And hot water.
Oh my! I'm learning something about you.
Wintertime, almost every day.
Yeah.
Summertime, a
Yeah.
little less
In
so.
the winter, I usually run about a bath a day.
I'm telling you, this man loves baths.
I also love baths.
Too many
but-
baths.
But no. No, it
Too
matters.
many baths.
Too many baths. What matters is I'm not
my God.
sharing it with 3 people, and I'm always first.
But you do
True.
sing really loud songs.
I love
What songs
this.
do I sing?
Irish sea shanties?
Yeah.
Very loud.
He's in the bath singing Irish sea shanties. What are you drinking? I know you're drinking something.
It's
Probably a milkshake.
Usually beer.
I know, right? Yeah,
milkshake, a beer, whiskey. What is it?
So it's never
Wine?
liquor, and I try to stay away from wine in the bath because that feels wrong, some uncouth. But
No, it just feels lovely
beer-
and feminine.
beer,
I feel like wine is way better than having a beer in a bath.
no, dude, a cold beer in a hot bath is amazing.
Everybody weigh in. What's more civilized? Wine in a bath?
Wine.
Or beer in a bath?
It's more like shower beer.
See, I'm
bath
not,
wine.
I'm not a shower beer
no,
guy.
shower beer. I've never had a shower beer because I don't like water in my beer.
Yeah, same.
That's
same.
why I like a bath beer because I control the level of everything.
Yeah. I want to talk about a bit of our own conspiracy going on here, which is that we're listening Andy Serkis on Spotify. Andy said something that was different than our book. He said, the answer to the second question, said Mary, is that we would get off in an hour. I have prepared practically everything. There are 5 ponies in a stable across the fields. But the problem is, my book says that there are 6 ponies in a stable across the field. And I want to know what the heck is going on.
Because
Mine
also,
also.
if they know Fatty's not going, so there's only 4 hobbits going. If 6 ponies are going, fine, 2 are just pack mules, basically. You know what I mean? They're just taking their stuff.
Who's going
But-
to eat the ponies?
No, they're going to carry all the
Not
bags
for a while.
But my question is, why does that audiobook, and then I did some research, a second audiobook said 5.
What's the second one?
It was one from 1990.
That one also said 5.
Yeah.
So why is the audiobooks and the text different when it comes to how many ponies are going on this trip?
Was there an edit?
Yeah,
My
there's
text also
so
says
many
6.
different edits.
There's a lot of different versions.
Yeah.
That the
I feel
prologue
like that's
told
a
me.
pretty big thing to fucking change.
Is
Like, did
it?
somebody think it was like he
Like some
messed up?
fucking asshole at some publishing company was like, you know what? I think he overrode how many people are going on this trip.
5 is not enough.
Somebody looked at that and said, Gandalf would never ride a pony.
Oh.
It just feels weird.
Wait, could you imagine
He's
him on a
over
pony?
there.
Oh my God. So, well, okay,
Be like
so
when
you
those
laugh.
adults take a kid's bike and they're riding through the streets. Is that just a Philly thing?
No, that doesn't make me feel good because Laura is something of a horse expert and she rides a horse, she owns a horse, whatever. The first time Laura put me on a horse, it was like a lot of fun. I was very, very proud of myself. I did a good job. And afterwards, I was told it was a pony.
It was.
It was just a
horse.
pony. So when you're like, can you imagine Gandalf
Well, no, it was
on a
worse.
horse? I'm like, yes, I can.
That happened to our friend. We were at this big birthday party, horse riding event, and our friend showed up and he was put on a donkey, which I think is worse.
A mule or donkey?
A real donkey, like full ass donkey.
A whole
They're
ass
so
donkey.
A whole ass
Okay,
donkey.
so question.
What?
Donkeys
Can we
are
just
amazing.
real fast give me a quick layout of what's the difference between horse, pony, donkey, mule?
Okay. Horse and pony. Pony is usually a certain pony breeds. They're just smaller. Right? They might have like a little different
it's
stockier
not like a baby
body
horse?
shape.
That's
It
a
is
foal,
not
right?
a baby horse. No, a baby horse is a foal. Correct. Yep. So like certain breeds usually are smaller. There's like a cutoff height that's the difference between a pony and a horse. And that's it.
And that pony forever will be that size. It's
Usually,
not going to like in a year.
Yeah, like when
later
they're
grow
full grown.
higher.
yeah, when it's an adult mature horse, you'll know if it's a pony or a horse. Sometimes if they're right on the border, if you put shoes on them, they can become a horse.
Oh my God. It's
And
like
if
wearing
you don't
heels.
have that like half inch, they become a pony. And then donkeys and mules. A donkey is its own species, and then a mule is a cross between a donkey and a horse.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that. Another thing that I want to talk about actually is it was a line, or maybe it's a few lines. It was very reminiscent of chapter 1. It was just I've noticed a writing style that Tolkien has that it kind of reappeared, and I haven't seen this sort of writing style since chapter 1 when Bilbo gives his speech and he says to everybody. You had read it something like, I know half of you as well as I half as ought to know you, you know, whatever that thing is. He does that little monologue and it's so great.
A little wordplay.
Yeah, it's a really nice wordplay. So he does it again. And is it Pippin that says it or is it Merry that says it?
If it's worth remembering, Pippin did not say it.
Pippin did not say it. Who says it?
Merry.
Mary says it. So that's good to know. I'll keep that in mind. If it's worth remembering, Pippin did not say it. So Mary says this thing.
It's true,
and
though.
Pat, do you mind reading this?
Sure. You can trust us to stick to you through thick and thin to the bitter end. And you can trust us to keep any secret of yours closer than you keep it yourself.
Obviously.
But you cannot trust us to let you face trouble alone and to go off without a word. We are your friends, Frodo. Anyway, there it is. We know most of what Gandalf has told you, and we know a great deal about the ring. We are horribly afraid. But we are coming with you and following you like hounds.
I thought it was interesting that at some point they pieced it all together. They knew that Frodo was going to leave. They did not know if he was just going to put the ring on and disappear, and they wouldn't have a chance to go with him or not. Yeah. You know, they wanted to. They had all these plans ready, and they had the ponies ready, and they were committed to going with him. But there is a chance that Frodo would have just put on the ring and just pieced out.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, doesn't that make Sam sticking to Frodo so hard make so much more sense?
Yeah.
Like he literally slept at his feet and probably was sleeping with one arm
Yeah.
around his
Oh, yeah.
tucked in his boot or something.
Absolutely.
Definitely justifies a lot of their behaviors that at first you're like, this is a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
He's acting like a dog. I don't really get this. But now we kind of
Start to
understand.
see beneath the veil.
Yeah, and also
Or the mask.
oh, and
Or
doesn't
their
this,
plan.
doesn't this kind of change their dynamic a little bit in our eyes as the reader?
Sure.
Merry and Pippin are Frodo's cousins. Fredger is like a childhood friend. Sam is the gardener's son. But Sam's also the most important part of this conspiracy. He's where all the information comes from.
He's the snitch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, That's a harsh but accurate word. I think Merry is the brains of the operation very clearly.
Yeah, 100%.
Sam's the information. Fredger's the support. Pippin is the comedic relief.
My last real note about this whole chapter is I actually had a question. Mary says to them, it's like late, they're all like getting ready to go to bed. And they're like, we're going to leave right as the sun's coming up tomorrow. We're going to make our way on this journey together. And it's very like camaraderie, wholesome moment. And then Mary says something that kind of took me out of the universe, which he goes, I'll wake you up before the break of day. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there going, how? How are you going to wake up? How are you setting an alarm? How do they set alarms in this world?
Have you never just woken up?
Chickens?
What do you mean just woken up? Like, have you ever gone to bed, not set an alarm and said, I need to get up at 4 and just at 4 o'clock woken up?
No, but have you ever
haven't. That's
opened
a
your
lie.
eyes in the pure darkness and gone, fuck, I'm awake and I have shit to do?
I just assumed he stayed up all night, like the other time when Pippin just stayed up all night eating bread.
Could
Yeah,
be. Yeah, he never went to sleep.
Believe me, if you don't sleep well and you know you have something important to do, you're going to have a
anxiety
moment.
wakes you up
Yeah.
every 10 minutes.
But at one of those 10 minutes, you're like, it's time.
No, that's interesting. You interpret it that way because I interpret it as Mary is taking one for the fucking team, and he's just staying up all night, and he's banging on doors like, "Get up!"
Yeah.
Like he just isn't going to bed.
But like you guys know that like the
Maybe.
world existed and functioned before clocks, right?
I will give you, Pat, $1,000 cash.
Mm-hmm.
If the next time you sleep over my house, I say to you, meet me out front at 5:30 a.m. and I take your phone and I say, it's up to you.
You know what's going to happen, right?
Do we stay up until 3 a.m. drinking?
No, at 4.
I mean, I don't know how you're going to get up.
At about 4:45, you're going to wake up because I'm going to be slapping the shit out of you.
All right, sounds good. Let's get the snack out. Look at this beautiful spread. Please, Laura, tell me what we got going on here.
All right. So not only were mushrooms mentioned again in this chapter, it was mentioned that hobbits have a love for mushrooms that is just so much deeper than big people could ever understand. So yet again, mushrooms. So we've got some stuffed mushrooms.
Yeah, what do we got here?
I can't promise anything about this. We'll see.
You're really selling it.
I know. I'm sorry. I got it out of a cookbook designed for Lord of the Rings
For big people?
for
Hobbit
big
food.
people. So I don't know what I was thinking. So here we go. There's some sausage in it, some breadcrumbs, onion, garlic, and some mozzarella cheese, and obviously
God.
a lovely Portobello cap.
That sounds
looks
So
incredible.
yeah, let's give it a shot.
I'm very excited.
Amazing.
Wow.
Just goes right through his mouth.
I had concerns.
Wow, that's excellent. The sausage is a nice choice with the mushroom.
It definitely needed.
It's a very
Like a
merry,
nice-
merry taste to it.
Yeah, very hobbity.
That's delicious. The sausage is very nice with it.
Good. So yeah, we'll share this recipe in the show notes, and I will mention there are a great number of Lord of the Rings themed cookbooks out there available to purchase.
Well, Laura, this was absolutely delicious. I scarfed that down.
You sure did.
And I already had dinner, so I had a second dinner, like a true
Second
hobbit that I am.
supper.
I'm just come to terms with I'm definitely not an elf. I probably am Mary.
Come join the Hobbit side
I'm probably
with
a
me.
hobbit. But that being said, does anyone remember the title of next week's chapter?
I don't think I even looked at it. Oh wait, no, yes
Pat,
I did.
You can't say it.
I'm
know
a
what
little
it was.
busy.
That's what it's called?
Yeah.
It's called I'm a Little Busy?
It's Gandalf's POV.
Oh, you guys are messing with me. I was like, that's wild.
I'm a little busy.
What a Jeremy Renner Reagan. You sly little sneaky snake. You sneaky little snake.
No, she's on point. No, the next chapter is the Old Forest.
The old
The old
forest.
forest. The old fart.
No.
Laura's
anything
making
wrong.
some untoward faces to her husband.
So Laura,
I thought I thought we would say that she's making faces toward her husband.
Exactly.
Untoward is a type. Never mind.
untoward.
I'm making untoward faces toward my husband.
How do you make faces untoward to someone?
I won't do it to you because we're not married.
Hoping it bounces off the wall and then hits them.
You're taking the word literally. It actually means something quite different.
It means uncouth,
Yes.
impolite.
Maybe if you zoom in later on the episode or earlier on the episode.
Yeah, like one of the times
you'll
she's
see it.
pushing the mic into her mouth.
So you've been making faces this whole time?
She has.
Well, listen, if you've stuck with us this far, it means you might enjoy this show.
May God have mercy on your
I
soul.
hope you enjoyed our discussion of Chapter 5 of the Fellowship of the Ring.
And things that weren't in chapter
And
5.
plenty of other things and other fun discussions along the way. Our next episode, we're going to be talking about Chapter 6, The Old Forest. Make sure that you read that chapter before you listen. Obviously, this show is 100% full of spoilers. So make sure that you are actually reading along or not. If you're okay with spoilers and you just enjoy listening to us, that's also good too. The mushroom's coming back up.